Well, here we go again, Canada. I guess we got to revisit this, something the Canadians have definitely heard about before, as we know, the so-called longest ballot. You might remember it, well, you probably do remember it from earlier this year when 91 candidates flooded the ballot in Pierre Poilievre's former riding of Carlton. It was a stunt, a spectacle, and it was framed by its organizers as some kind of quirky protest for electoral reform. But it wasn't harmless then, and it's far more dangerous now. Because this time, it's happening again, but even worse. This time, they're targeting Poilievre once again in his upcoming by election in Alberta. All of you know this, I know, but they're not stopping at 91 names. Reports say there could be over 200 so called candidates on the ballot in Battle River Crowfoot. This isn't democratic expression. This is engineered chaos. Let's go.
Welcome to Bakes on Things.
Hi, everyone. Before we get started on today's episode, and I appreciate you being here, please hang with me for about 30 seconds before the episode gets started. I want to thank those that have sent me prayers and thoughts and messages throughout the weekend that responded to the post I put on this channel about Colleen's life-threatening illness that she ended up with early last week. Now, late last week, I should say. Colleen is obviously, for as many of you know, a sufferer of MS, multiple sclerosis, and of course, epilepsy as well. Last week, she was found unconscious and had experienced a very lengthy seizure. We don't know how long it was, and of course, with seizures, the longer they are, the more damaging they can be. She was also in the bath and therefore had inhaled a lot of water. Luckily and miraculously, somehow, during the seizure, likely with her seizure movements, had knocked the drain in the tub and drained the tub. And the only reason she's here right now is likely because that happened. She is off of the ventilator now, and she's doing better. Obviously, she's got some depravity of oxygen issues that will both affect her ability to move and speak. But she is speaking again, and she's getting better by the day. So I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for your thoughts and prayers there, and for those who have donated to the GoFundMe that there is up for Colleen as well for her recovery. Obviously, by any stretch, I don't want necessarily everybody donating to that. I'm putting the link because a few of you have asked. I have put it on the main page of this channel, but again, everybody's struggling in this country. Everybody has their story. I am not asking you to contribute to that. However, there were a few emails that asked about it and couldn't find the link in the comments that I had put on that post. So it is now posted as a permanent link as part of this channel for now. And for those of you who have just been so showering with your comments and your prayers, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. In terms of this show will go on because Colleen would kill me if it didn't. She's actually one of the biggest fans of this show, which is one of the most honoring things I could have when your own wife is a huge fan and probably your biggest. So this show will continue to go on because I know she would make sure that that happened. So thank you very much again from the bottom of my heart. Colleen is recovering. She's going to do better. We don't know any of the answers yet. We don't know what the recovery looks like ahead, but what we do know is she's still here with us and still receiving all the love that everybody's sending her. So thank you so much, and let's get on with the show. Welcome back to Bakes on Things. Look, this is not about reform. It's about interference. It's not a protest. It's a hit job, and the target is Pierre Poilievre. And it's time that we called it out for what it really is: election interference, dressed up to look like reform. Now, we're going to go much deeper on this in this episode to show you how this is actually electoral reform. We're not just going to sit here and call it that. We wouldn't be able to even make an episode out of that. But let me walk you through the entire setup here. So here we go. We know that earlier this year, when Poilievre ran in Carlton, a seat that he had held for nearly 2 decades and lost it, well, that wasn't because he didn't campaign hard. It wasn't because the Conservatives were weak, but because the ballot was a disaster. There was voter confusion, uncertainty, delays. The noise drowned out the substance. And I know that the lines were redrawn as well, but this had a huge part in it. There were 91 names on that ballot. Many voters reported struggling to find Poilievre's name at all. Some ballots were 3 or 4 pages long. People joked it was like voting off of a diner menu. But what they didn't realize is that the real joke was probably being played on them, because the group that was responsible for all of this, they call themselves the Longest Ballot Committee. Again, all stuff we know. They claim it's a protest to show how broken our first past the post electoral system is. But here's the first red flag in all of this. If they really wanted to protest the voting system, why would they target only conservative held ridings? Why not liberal strongholds like Peter Fragiskatos in the London area? Or why not evenly across the country? Why not Mark Carney's own riding himself? But no, they didn't go to North London. They didn't go to Saint Laurent. They didn't go to Papineau. They didn't touch anything held by the NDP, the Bloc, or the Liberals. Instead, they zeroed in on Carlton. And again, now they're zeroing in on Battle River Crowfoot, the Alberta riding where, surprise, surprise, Pierre Poilievre is running in a by-election to return to Parliament. So I ask you this. What does that look like to you? And if you need a lot more proof, good news. We've got it for you. It tells you that this is a targeted operation. That's the reality of all of this, and we're going to show you. It's not about the electoral system. It's about a man. It's about Pierre Poilievre himself, and it's being masked, though, as activism so that Elections Canada won't study it, won't investigate it. But here we are investigating it, and things look a little shady all around. Let's be honest. I mean, it always did, but for some reason, nobody looked into it. Oh, right. The mainstream media doesn't want to look into it. Well, let's talk about the man running this thing, Tomas something or other. I'm not going to say his last name. It's hard to pronounce, and I don't want him to get the attention. He claims he's an electoral reform advocate. He says he wants to inspire debate in Canada, says he wants Canadians to think deeply about how our system works. That sounds noble, doesn't it? But dig a little deeper and you'll find the truth. He's a former Rhinoceros Party organizer, someone who has openly embraced absurdity and chaos as political strategy. That is fine if you're hosting a satire night at the comedy club, but when you use these tactics to manipulate the outcome of real federal elections and by-elections now, that's when the joke kind of wears off. Let me be perfectly clear on this one. This is not electoral reform. It's likely the furthest thing from it. If it were, we'd see longest ballot campaigns hitting those safe liberal seats I talked about earlier. We'd see them also happening in urban ridings, but we don't, and we don't see them in rural ridings either. We would see them in coastal ridings, but we don't. We would see a full map. But what do we see instead? 2 ridings. Both of those ridings conservative, and conveniently, both connected directly to the leader of the opposition. Are we shocked? Well, that's not reform, I can tell you that. And that's targeting. That's what that is. And that is interference with the election. It is election interference at its finest, except it's domestic now. And if you want to wonder, is this something that just happens here? Let's zoom out for a moment, because this isn't a uniquely Canadian problem, which makes this story even more interesting. Stick with me here. In Russia, during the 2021 elections for the St. Petersburg City Legislature, the opposition candidate Boris Vishnevsky suddenly found himself running against not one, but 2 other men who legally changed their names to Boris Vishnevsky and even altered their appearances to resemble him. These weren't accidents. It was a coordinated Kremlin-friendly operation to split the opposition vote and confuse the electorate. And it worked. The real Vishnevsky lost momentum, and voters were left unsure which box to tick at all. Then you go over to Italy, and this strategy took on an absurd twist. In the 2013 presidential elections, prank nominations flooded the process. They included fake slates featuring football coach Roberto Mancini and adult film actor Rocco Siffredi. These weren't serious candidates. They were inserted to distract, disrupt, and dilute public attention away from reformers and opposition voices. While ultimately symbolic, they threw the democratic process into complete disarray, wasted time, and dragged out coalition talks for weeks on end. And then there's Venezuela. We've all heard about that one. There, the regime has used fake opposition candidates with similar names to real contenders who were in the election, and that was known as clone candidates to trick voters to split anti Maduro support. This happened most famously in both 2020 and 2024, where dozens of ballots were intentionally printed with confusing logos and misleading candidate names. Entire ridings were swamped with fake independents or loyal opposition shills. And the outcome? Turnout dropped, confusion soared in their election, and Nicolas Maduro walked away with seats he should have lost. The common thread here? Fake candidates, bloated ballots, distracted voters, and rigged outcomes. But wait, there's more. Because now in Canada, we are seeing that same strategy play out here under a banner of electoral reform. And it's not original, it's of course imported, but from where, I wonder? Interesting. And here's where we need to think about this a little bit more and perhaps talk to Mark Carney, because this man spent years working at the highest levels of European financial and political institutions. He would have seen most of this happening. He was governor of the Bank of England at the time that most of this happened. He advised on EU climate frameworks. He's not some rookie to EU practices and things going on there. He knows what has happened in these countries very well. He has studied these countries very closely. So are we really to believe he doesn't recognize what the longest ballot committee is doing? That he doesn't see the parallels with what happened to Wisniewski in Russia, or the clown candidate strategies from Italy, or the clone candidate sabotage in Venezuela? He knows about all of those. So come on now, Mark. Let's be real here. Carney knows exactly what this is. And yet, when asked whether the by-election would proceed, he actually hastened it, made it faster. And now he even said, he would nobly not stand in the way of democracy. Well, hold on a second. By moving fast, does that mean that Elections Canada can't investigate this? When Parliament shut down early this summer in the middle of a geopolitical crisis, Carney didn't seem too concerned with democracy then. But now, when Conservative votes could be split and scrambled across 200 fake candidates, suddenly he's protecting democracy. Let's get this done for Pierre. Let's push this one through. Seems funny. Let's be honest. This isn't about defending democracy at all. This is about exploiting this loophole and getting it done and letting others do the dirty work for him. He might feel and believe right now that Pierre Poilievre is going to lose because of this longest ballot thing. Let me be crystal clear. This is not reform. This is coordinated political interference. Legal under a sloppy interpretation, maybe, but utterly illegitimate. And here we need Canada to respond, because Elections Canada needs to investigate this. There's much deeper ties happening here, not just walk away and say it was a protest. Fake or frivolous candidacies in high stakes ridings should be disqualified. We must reform nomination thresholds, not to shut out genuine independence, but to stop sabotage. Because if we don't draw the line here, the blueprint gets copied and used over and over and over again. And when the next national election rolls around with more serious stakes, more serious figures, this chaos becomes the engine of political outcomes. So this is very serious, and there is something fishy going on here. It was too easy for Mark Carney to say, yep, let's do that by election at our first available opportunity. Mark, you know exactly what these tactics look like because you've seen them used on the world stage and you've seen them work. If you truly care about democracy, stop playing these games. Delay this by-election and have this proper vetting done and dismantle this interference. And to Canadians everywhere, demand better. This isn't theater. I'm not demanding a delay because I don't want Pierre in the office. I do. It's an assault, though, on the democratic process, and if we let it slide, we're complicit. We need to fight back and we need to contain this now or lose it forever. The reality is that there is a real chance here that Pierre Poilievre does not get elected in this riding because they already know this is going to work. That's also why they allowed it to happen so fast, because the faster you do something, we saw this with the federal election, didn't we? The faster you do something, the more likely you're going to get the outcome you want without investigation from the authorities outside of it. This may be what's happening here in Battle River Crowfoot. So don't think this was a favor Mark Carney was doing to Pierre Poilievre to see if he could get back in. There is a real possibility that Mark Carney, in the back of his mind, knows Pierre Poilievre is going to lose at this election, this by-election, I should say. And if that's the case, we need a deep investigation. And that's where my theory is maybe we even delay it to let Elections Canada look deeper into this. It's not that I don't want Pierre Poilievre winning that riding and getting back into Parliament for the fall, but we want to make sure he actually wins. And that I'm not sure of. We'll catch you tomorrow.